happened to be a little larger. A couple of big Merlin engines powering the Mosquito, and very amazing aeroplane performance-wise.
Land landing, they didn't actually operate off the carrier. The other one, the lead aircraft is the C model. Still has its hook. The C model had,
if you're an instructor.
yeah.
Very definite book about them. You can tell they're North American airplanes.
Just coming through now for a trail with the dairy, velvet dairy top. Nice work. Interesting enough, finally introduced right there is Peter Morse. He flies off a private pilot's license, so that's what you can end up.
He's pretty versatile pilots. Pete's got a couple of other aircraft.
Yeah, Peter's got a
Don't see this too often, guys. Beautiful.
7 and a C-130 Hercules, and they're both from number 40 Squadron, and a P-32K Orion from number 5 Squadron. They've all flown down from Auckland, and we're going to commence their Thunder Formation display for us today from behind with a series of formation fly pasts. So it's all going to get a bit noisy. I'm going to go quiet for a bit. So leading the formation, we have our Boeing 757. The captain of the aircraft this morning is Tommy Tuke. Normally he'd have one co-pilot, but also, as I'm sure you will all have seen done on the TV, if not for real. I don't know if you feel the same, but they don't actually look that big up there in the sky already. So our 757s are used for strategic transport, as I mentioned. That means that we carry out varieties of tasks all around the world in support of the government and NZDF. Antarctica, Peru, Laos, India, the Middle East, Europe, everywhere. Ladies and gents, the 757 number 40 Squadron, and they're heading back off now to Auckland. But remember the Sunderland? There's a few examples still around, but the Sunderlands were replaced in 1966. Here we go, right to left. Either that the runway that you want to land on is not bubbled observations. So yesterday I was talking about cupolas, and we'll talk more about them when the Hercs come around, but the windows on this aircraft aren't flat. They stick out a bit like bubbles or marbles, and that means you can put your head out into it and get a much better view of the sea. Isn't it, when you're standing on a commentary stand? Yeah, the P-8 Poseidon, which is a really different type of aircraft. So this one, like we talked about, is propeller driven, and the P-8 Poseidon is a jet aircraft. Speaking of propellers, he's going to climb to about 2,000 feet, and then Kendall's going to reposition the aircraft to show us what is known as a 6-into-3 approach. Okay, so he's pulled that nose up now. You can see he's dropped the gear and he's dropping the flaps because he's going to set himself up for a max effort landing. So this is going to prove to you just how short a space of runway or ground these big airplanes need to land. Skid braking system, so as soon as they touch down, Kendall will be able to apply those brakes, and also, as you just heard, we can flip all those propellers into reverse thrust. And he'll pitch up and teardrop, so anyone with a camera out there, you're going to get you around the side of the aircraft. enough to do one of those, but I know these guys on the crew will have, so if you want to talk to them about trips to the Antarctic, please head down to the left-hand end of the crowd line at the end of the display, because they will be landing for a static display for a short period of time. Okay, so you can see he's dirtied up again. We've got the flap and the gear down, and you can tell the gear's down if you can't see it because the lights are on. So he'll be coming in for another touchdown, and then we're going to have that clean up in ground effect. Okay, so staying low to the ground, using the ground to get the speed, up goes the gear. Incredibly lucky to be being joined by the Royal Australian Air Force's C-130J later on, and they will show us another example of that kind of tactical approach to an airfield. You could all see, but it's not necessarily a great idea. Although I have to say he's doing a better job of it than I probably would. We're going to pretend he's annoying some poor sheep and some cows in a paddock. Maybe a display of his crazy flying, and hopefully he knows that it's going to take a little bit longer for a car to get there. So the police also have this support unit, and somebody is on the phone to them and scrambled them. They have 3 Bell 49 helicopters. Well, that's a good view he's getting there. Okay, looks like he might be trying to find a place to land at the moment. Yeah, that's good. At least he hasn't gone good work there. On the ground, that's fantastic. So, everything has got a little bit more serious. So here is the police helicopter by the air support unit. So the aircraft disabled the vehicle on the runway. Now we've got the vehicle on the runway stationary, but we know there is an armed offender on board. So the police Eagle is going to stand off and provide what's called overwatch at this point, which means he keeps eyes on what's going on. The sniper still has eyes on him as well. And now we're going to call in the guys who are going to deal with the situation on the ground.
Yes, it would be special tactics groups or tactical operators on board who are trained to deal with high-risk critical incidents that you'll see here. They'll look to get into position and be quickly on the ground, fast rope in likely, and use the assistance of the police dog that they'll have with them today as well to make the apprehension.
Okay, so we've got the NH-90 from 3 Squadron based at a half year over the hills behind us. Position. Tom would have flown the aircraft. It will happen between 80 and 40 feet. So, Richard, can you tell us a little bit about fast rope?
Yeah, so it's a quick pipe that we use when it's on the ground. Like 8 cm, the helicopter will hold around about 40 feet. The operators will slide down that bridge once to keep their hands at the bottom of the bridge down the side. What we want to do deploy a diversion where we can to try and distract that driver. And you might see that some explosions out behind us here as well. Don't be alarmed by that.
Okay, so diversionary tactics, a few flashbacks, hopefully, so that the driver looks at them and not, is that a dog appearing from the helicopter? Ladies and gents, ICE, the police dog with STG.
In here.
Girls, if you were worried that it looked a little bit painful, don't worry, it's not really a helicopter pilot. Hot day out there wearing black today.
Yeah, so we've got police dog teams, as you know, all around the country, general purpose police dogs. The likes of ICE here with his handler Luke, members of the Armed Defender Squad, and additional, due to the dog's qualities, also train and work with the Special Tactics Group for their ability to work and track and provide also the bushel also with them.
And you said that ICE is about 5, but he's been working with you since he was only 18 months old.
Became operational 18 months, and it takes him a couple of years to get into the swing of things, and then being a high-performing dog that he is now working with us, so we really
That's amazing. And that's a pretty long career for a police dog. Like you said, if you got a high performer who really suits the role.
Yeah, that's right. They love the work, and I hope we can get for 8 years of work for them. But thanks, Police Eagle. Nice work.
On the ground. As a landing direction will be, this is known as a buzz and brake. Now, the Aussies actually called it an initial and pitch, and I apologise to any Aussies out there for my... It is a long way to come, but it is also a really good demonstration of the range of the Hercules. We talked about the Herc as a tactical transport plane, and usually that means kind of short taps in and out of wherever you're going, back to your staging base. But equally, we can fly for 10 hours if you need us to. So if you need to go down to the ice, if you need to fly across from Australia to do an air show and please the New Zealand public and then fly back again, you can do it. So the Aussies use this C-130J for medium airlift. They've got a smaller aircraft called a C-27 Spartan, and they've also got those larger C-17 Globemasters as well. See you again very soon. The C-130J looks really quite similar to the C-138. The main difference from the outside is the propellers. So the J model has 6, rather than the H model has 4, and they're a slightly different, really curved shape. However, from the inside, it's a completely different beastie. So our H models, like I said, 1960, makes that flight deck fantastically safe and really, really operable in a tactical environment. There go the engines again. We've got to feel real sorry for these guys. That's literally it. Their time in New Zealand is done. It's going to be a takeoff, and then there'll be another departure pass through the overhead. But give them a massive, massive wave, boys and girls, as they go past. The C-130J and the 27 Squadron. Bye, you guys. Safe trip. What a departure. That is fantastic.
Because they're rather heavy, but they can be thrown around, and of course they're carrying 2 very heavy machine guns. So when they hit something, intended to stay in a beautiful formation, B2 and B5A, the B2 so the B5s can't go to the British fighters as much as often have one good characteristic and maybe upset their other characteristics. So you find that very good at tuning, you try to tell other aircraft with dialing, with good penetration, record dive and zoom aircraft. But the Germans, interestingly, surprisingly, the Germans were very disciplined, particularly around forces, allowed their Manfred from Richthofen, the past racing. So the British used dairy lights and things like that, a green light and go home.
So, Colonel Murray, while the aircraft is repositioning for another flypast, when was the aircraft, the B-52, first put into service?
This piece of equipment.
If you did happen to run out of gas, our aerodrome's not quite long enough, you might be here for quite a while.
That would be what we call a one-time landing.
And is that on a single crew, or do you have another crew?
first known aerial top dressing in New Zealand was in 1906, and it was not quite top dressing, I guess, but it was not fertiliser, it was spreading seed from
on how firefighting is conducted with both fixed wing and with helicopters. Capacity around about a tonne and its versatility.
We should have asked them to get closer to the crowd, shouldn't we? Bit of cool water.
I think it's probably a bit of a drift there, about 2,000 litres, so you'll notice that John's display lasted a little longer. So we normally have here at Wairarapa a number of jets. We've had, on this occasion we've only got the one jet here, and that is John Luff from Wanganui.
So John's just got prepared to take off.
Velocity never exceed of about 205 knots by the time they get to the bottom of the dive.
Very distinctive sound, isn't it?
The Harbour's got a very distinctive sound, obviously, from its top-breaking speed and sound barrier. So there's Dave Brown, the leader, leading them in a big loop. Start the show. Dave's a retired Cathay Pacific pilot. They used to fly Skyhawks in the Air Force, and today he's our chief flying instructor at Warbirds. The yellow one, for instance, was in the Second World War, and some of the others are more in the 1970s and 80s, and also the reserve squadrons. Here's our solid performer, Rob Silich, breaking off. He's a weekend warrior when he gets in his harbour. And he'll be pulling up into what's called a humpy bump. So he goes vertically up, pulls over the top, very misshapen loop. Harvards were used in the Second World War as an advanced training aircraft. Harvard is an advanced trainer. Harvard was usually armed with a small machine gun in front and some practice bombs for the trainings. There's Rob doing a very slow roll, pretty fed. And of course when he's upside down, fuel's not making it all the way to the engine sometimes. Here come the rest of the team in. Number 2 in today's team is Dean Beverley. He's also a retired Cathay Pacific pilot. He's the Deputy Chief Flight Instructor at Warbirds. It's like the speed of sound when it's at full power. It's a nice grapple, isn't it? So now they're going in it's called a trail, barrel roll and trail. They're following each other around a barrel roll. And the rear to aircraft today, open the white thing. It's left leader with the P40 as well in these displays. Following here in the number 4 slot is Frank Parker. Now you can see Rob Silich again. Now he's going to pull into a barrel roll, which is supposed to show the inside of a barrel, so it's like he's flying around the inside of a barrel. He rolls as well as loops at the same time. Straight in behind the leader, there's a diamond formation, and this is a diamond loop. See the smoke coming through? The smoke's actually generated by diesel that's in tanks in the back of the aircraft. It's pumped into the exhaust, and the heat of the exhaust turns it straight into white smoke. So the head's in combat in some circumstances. Tomorrow.
Great fun, thanks. Cheers. Certainly appreciate your presence up here. And, yeah.
Oh, this time.
So thank you to the Roaring Forties for a wonderful display.
Love it up there, that's
The 109 come in, and with me I have.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree that it's something that is so interesting. Day-to-day work is different. You know, everyone says you learn something new every day, but
Out to our right, crowd right, and he will be dropping gear to come past, slow past.
Still takes up a very good sky, but I have to and in fact our commentator on the bench here just a few moments ago, John Latham, was part of 40s from the flight weather. These are very fast to view around.
I'm going to get ice cream. Tell me how much you buy me one. I'm not buying you guys. Surely.
Triple Band was one of the original organisers of the Jet Warbirds. John also owns another Venom airframe, the red and white Swiss market one. The town of Waco in the gun-toting state of Texas. Waco Giro. Led by Marty Camper in the Waco taper wing. Leading there and the VO4 is Top McKenzie. Big one day hole in the liquid water, touching down. Lovely profile. Only couldn't buy that for the aeroplane. Shot down to the left and turn it around.
Exactly. And Colin Gray, the Spitfire here that's taken off first, Dave Booker, is in the colours of Colin Gray.
Kind of beat the sound of Rolls Royce Merlin. Just to let you hear the sound of this Allison V 1710. Beautiful. High road, small wings. The max speed of approximately 660 miles per kilometre per hour.
Right, but don't get it in your eye like I have, or else you have trouble seeing.
How's that? Some 2.9 super. Now, while I was on, let's let these guys do their thing first. Look at that beautiful elliptical winged pair. Who's number 2 today?
Sean Perry. Yeah, Sean Perry. He's probably more senior than the squadron leader, but aren't known him as that. And
Rotating. See our Avro Anson rolling from the right. And where did our second Spitfire go?
this aircraft, the Anson, is the only one that's flying in the world. It was a World War II reconnaissance aircraft. It did have armaments up the front, but here on the top.
We'll just let Doug arrive.
Grass landing.
That is a very good landing.
Lovely.
3-pointer Spitfire. You've got to have a lot of practice. High performance aircraft.
Quite impressive on the twin engines.
Oh, brilliant. Dawn's got it correct last night, you can't see. Whoops.
So it's a reconnaissance aircraft, light bomber, used in the early stages of World War II. Originally arrived in a 6-seat passenger transport aircraft and designed